Hi everyone, Lordess here, and welcome back to another edition of the Hope for Humanity series. Just to let you know, this will be the last in the first series of the Hope for Humanity. Hope for Humanity will be returning next year in 2020 with the second season. So fear not, it will be back. I want to thank all of you who've been joining me throughout this series, and I want to talk today on my last episode here on a very rather serious subject. We'll be talking today about dealing with depression and grief. I know it's a pretty heavy topic, but I figure it was a good topic to sort of close out with as we head close towards the holiday time, and grief and depression can be pretty intense at that time. So I figured it was a good topic to sort of end off with. Okay, I want to start off sort of breaking it down in terms of grief and depression and sort of how I've handled it. All the types of things I'll be discussing today are based on personal experience and what I have observed and researched on the topic. I have suffered a lot throughout my years of bouts of grief and depression. And this is just some of the practices that I feel were best that I used in order to sort of climb out of it. Anyone dealing with serious depression and suicidal thoughts, I urge you to absolutely reach out to your nearest crisis center or suicide hotline or mental health professional. So this is just some advice that I'm going to be giving you based, like I said, on personal experience and so forth. So let's get on with the topic of grief and depression. First of all, I sort of see them as similar, but two kind of different things. Grief to me is where we're dealing with a sometimes sudden and tragic loss of someone from our life due to, them passing on, that type of thing. And we go into that. If it's someone very close to us, very special to us, we can go into, that pit of deep despair. And grief is different and is experienced differently by all of us. Some people can seem to or appear to handle their grief a little bit better than others. In terms of grief, though, it's a worldwide thing. Everybody goes through it, deals with it at some point in their life. Even animals feel grief when they've lost someone very close to them. So when it comes to grief, there's not really much you can do except sort of feel it, feeling the despair that you go to, and once the shock wears off of the loss of the person from your life, and you go through the process, most of the time there's a funeral and things like that, and there's a process which we kind of remain numb to throughout the process. But when we're left all alone after everyone has gone and all the hubbub is done, it can be very severe when we're just sort of handling our emotions, the emotional part of it, because we do tend to suppress it to a certain extent when we have to get through the details of things. But once we're alone and we finally have that quiet time, the grief and despair can become pretty intense. And I suggest, feeling it. You have to feel your feelings, because if you brush them off or push them away, it's not healthy in the long run it's not good for your mental health in the long run, or even your physical health. It can definitely take its toll. Now, in terms of using aids, I understand at the moment of impact, sometimes people will do things like go and get drunk or take a sedative or something like that, using drugs and alcohol in order to cope with a moment of intense, impact. It can be a helpful tool for some, and if that's the way that you feel that what you have to do in order to get through the day or the couple of days, that's fine in my opinion. However, be careful of these things because they can be traps. They tend to work so well, in a sense, that they suppress the emotions and make us feel better and we can cope better, that we tend to want to continue to use them. But when we do that, it's just basically a band-aid solution. We're not getting to the core problem, and we're not really dealing with our emotions. And then this is where the problem can come in, where addictions can get hold, because then we start depending too much on these other substances in order to get us through the day, the week, the month, so forth. Again, not really recommended, because it becomes a crutch and it sort of prolongs it. It's kind of like when you take cold medicine to get through your workday when you're getting a cold. You're just suppressing it, you're just holding it back, and then eventually it has to come out. So sometimes it can, the process can be even longer if we're doing the Band-Aid solution. The best course of action there is once, like I said, we move past that initial impact, is to just when we are alone with ourselves, to deal with the emotions, no matter how painful it is. It needs to come out. We need to grieve, we need to cry, we need to yell, scream, whatever it is you need to do. Take your time out to feel those feelings from the core of it. And it's going to take as long as it's going to take. Like I said, when it comes to recovering after something like this, it can take a very long time for some people, and other people can move past it, quicker, depending upon the situations and what's also attached to it. A lot of times with grief, there is guilt and other things that are layered upon layered. So we need to work through these things. So it's best to just deal with it, take a time out, take time off work if you need to, whatever you need to do in order to just feel the emotions. And if you're having trouble moving on from there, you can seek out counseling, a therapist or something like that, in order to help you sort of progress and move forward and get on with it. When it comes to the loss of a loved one, you're never going to fully get over it, because, obviously you love that person, that's why you're grieving, and the love will always be there. So knowing that and starting to heal, because the loved one who's passed on does not want you to stay in grief forever. There's a period where it needs to, start on the road to healing. So once you start doing that, you can get back on track. The danger with suppressing the emotions from the grief period is that it can keep you in this constant state where you're teetering on the line of depression. And this can go on for a long time, even years. And again, that's not good for our mental health, our physical health, or anything. It's best to just, I know we always try to avoid pain, and that includes emotional pain, but sometimes we just need to bite the bullet and just face it. And in situations like that, it's best in the long run to just go into the emotions, feel what you need to feel, and then start the road to healing from there. Moving on to depression itself. There's many causes for depression. Again, if it's dealing with a loss, but this could be a different type of loss, in terms of if we've lost a job or lost a relationship, going through a divorce, that type of thing can definitely bring about feelings of depression and sadness. Again, it's something we need to get in touch with and feel. And when you're feeling those emotions, just allow it to come out, no matter how painful it is. Just deal with the thoughts that come into your head, and don't feel like you're crazy or that people won't understand. When you're going through something like that, it is best to let people around you know what's going on and that you're not feeling 100%. And the people who around you, if they don't understand that, then you don't need to be around those people, okay? Remember, when we're dealing with any kind of illness, whether it be physical or emotional, mental, we need to look after numero uno first. You have to become number one in that situation. So let your family know, let your friends know that it's time for you to heal at this point, and take whatever time you need. Take a back seat, have friends, family help you out if you have duties, responsibilities, children, and so forth. Get them on board to help you so that you can have more time to spend on your own. You will need to do a lot of alone time, because our healing has to come from within, right? So if it takes, spending a few days alone or even a week alone with just yourself, make arrangements, do that, and then just feel what you're feeling and let the feelings kind of bottom out until you can't cry anymore or you have nothing more to think about the situation. Just let it all ooze out, come out, deal with it, and then little by little start getting back on your feet. And my suggestions for doing that is, if we have fallen into a depression to the point where sometimes you can't even get out of bed, there's nothing, you lose all of your energy, like 100% of your energy is sapped. And if that's the case, then what I suggest, and I found has worked well for me when I've gotten to those points in the past, is making a goal, and each day setting small little goals. Like, say, for example, you can't get out of bed, you haven't showered in days. Make a goal that today I'm at least going to get up and shower. And tomorrow, maybe I'm going to go for a walk to the store. Small little goals like that. Don't overwhelm yourself or have high expectations, because that's just going to set you back. Do small little things throughout the week and then pat yourself on the back. Do all the things that are good for you in that time, because remember, you have to sort of pamper yourself. If you can muster up by the end of the week the energy to go and get a massage or go to the spa or something like that, works wonders. Also too, in terms of when you're healing from a depressive state, I suggest that you stay away from any people, any persons in your life who are big downers and only want to talk about what's wrong with the world and criticize and gossip. You need to stay far away from those people at that time, because you're too tender to be around them. I suggest maybe you talk to some maybe funny, upbeat friends, maybe just for a little while. Again, explain to them that I'm going to have a phone conversation with you, or I'm going to come and visit you, but it's only going to be for a little while, and let's keep things light. Also too, in terms of what you watch or what you read, try to keep it positive. Don't watch the news, don't watch any serious programs or movies that are disturbing in any way. Eat your favorite comfort food, watch comedies. Comedies are great. Laughter is definitely very healing. Do little things like that help bring you back up to par, because you need to restart your emotions again and bring them up into a more positive place and a more positive vibration. You can't go from 0 to 100 with your emotions. It's too extreme, and all you're going to do is set yourself up for disappointment. So it has to be a step-by-step, baby steps, little by little, moving towards your goal of upping your emotions and your vibrations. And then you can get back on track and get your life moving in the right direction again. So these are just some of the tips that I have used throughout this whole series. I have given suggestions about yoga, meditation, and all of these types of spiritual practices that I use, chakra clearing and so forth, in order to keep my emotions balanced and mental health in a good place. So if you would like to look through some of these videos for further aid, but you don't have to. Everybody heals in their own way. Just remember that it's you that is going to heal you the best. So go inside, it's like in the tarot card, the Hermit energy. You sometimes need to go within, and it's like the High Priestess as well, and find out what's really at the root of this, what's really, really bothering you. Sometimes people can fall into bad depressions over financial situations. Nothing can topple someone's good mood, like not being able to pay their bills or being, up to here with debt. It's very... it can cause a lot of anxiety, panic attacks, and so forth, and really bad depression. So if that is the case, if that's your stumbling block, maybe get to the root of it and find out what your blocks are about money, especially if it's a repeat habit. I've also done a video on on the money situation as well. If it's a repeat habit, maybe get to the core belief system, change that belief system. There's lots of things at the end of the day that you can do. You don't have to suffer in silence. Please reach out to people around you, reach out to mental health professionals, reach out to a counselor, a good friend, whatever the case may be. Let people know what's going on and don't feel ashamed. There's nothing to feel ashamed about in terms of a relationship. If you're depressed over always ending up, I know a few people who get really bummed out because every time they get their hopes up about a new relationship and then it goes south, they just tend to beat themselves up and think really badly on the world or the opposite sex and say that, you know, people are always like this and this always happens to me. And then they can get very depressed because they feel like they'll never have a happy relationship. Again, if that's the case and that's what's causing your depression, you can go deep within, find out what your core belief systems are about relationships. Doing a practice like forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person in the situation can absolutely work wonders as well when you're trying to navigate or work through complicated emotions like that. So these are just some of the tips about a very serious subject. And going forward with the holidays, like I mentioned earlier in the video, it can be very difficult, and I wish you all the best. All of you who are going to view this video, I hope that you have, you know, get some help from this video or get some help in your own way to help you have a more pleasant, you know, holiday season, and try and get rid of the nasty feelings and the nasty depression and bring your vibration up, because when we bring our vibration up, we can now manifest more of the things that we want to bring forward in our life. And always have hope at the end of the day. This is hope for humanity. And I wish you all the best going forward. Much love. Namaste. And thank you very much for tuning in to the Hope for Humanity series. And we will see you in 2020. And what else can I say? Much love. Namaste.